Welcome, friends, to a lesson exploring, well, an alternative view on multiplication. I want to teach you about lattice multiplication. It's really old, and actually, it's so old they're not quite sure where it came from. You see, it's shown up in Arabic mathematics, European mathematics, and even Chinese mathematics from long, long ago. And a lot of people use this because, well, it gives you a different way of seeing multiplication. It breaks it down into pieces. In fact, if you've ever used the checkerboard, they believe that lattice multiplication had an influence on the checkerboard. So let me show you how this goes. We'll start off with a problem that's sort of difficult, but not too difficult, to give you an idea of how this works. For example, how about 142 times 35? You might do a problem like that on the checkerboard, right? Let's build a lattice, and we'll define our lattice based on our multiplicand and multiplier. I'll write the multiplicand, or often it's easier to do the larger number on the top. However, we want to make sure we have enough space. I've actually sort of crowded my numbers together. You might use graph paper for this to keep everything nice and organized. So let me spread these out just a little bit more, and I'm going to make a line like that. On the graph paper, you'd want to line that up so that they're all in their own place. On the right side, I'm going to go ahead and put my multiplier, and I'm going to extend the side so that it matches that. And of course, on graph paper, that would look a little bit cleaner. I'm then going to build out the lattice. So it's a rectangle defined by the multiplicand and multiplier. And once I have this lattice, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to build just a little extra lattice work. I'm going to divide each of these in half by drawing a diagonal line. You might already be drawing some relationships to the checkerboard from here. And now I could go through this and solve it in any direction, but let's do it like we normally would. We'll start with our units. 2 times 5. You'll need some sense of your math facts here. 10. Now how do we put that in here? Your units box is always going to be the bottom triangle, and your tens box will be the top triangle. In the checkerboard, remember, we carry things over. Well, in this, there's not so much of that yet. Let's go ahead and write in 10. It's going to look like this. Basically 110 and 0 units. Moving to the next, 5 times 4, 20. And again, 2 tens, 0 units. 5 times 1, it's just 5. Now, at this stage, you can either put a 0 in this box, or you can just leave it blank. It really doesn't matter. Just remember that nothing is there. Whether you need that 0 as a placeholder or not, we just want to make sure we have that there. 2 times 3, moving up to the tens. 6. 3 times 4, thank you, 12. And 1 times 3 is just 3. Now, on the checkerboard, you may remember that sort of diagonal movement. We're just going to add up and write the answer down underneath. So for example, 0 plus nothing else is 0. 6 plus 1 is, 7. 2 plus 2 plus 5, you're getting it, there's the 9, and then our last one there, 1 plus 3 plus nothing, 4. So we can actually now see our answer. 142 times 35 is equal to 4,970. And I'll put a reference of this up for you on the drive so you can check it out. Let me show you an example of a much bigger one real quick on this whiteboard, and follow along. And then go ahead and try lattice multiplication. If it's easier for you, make use of it. It is also going to teach you about these relationships and give you more practice with your math facts. All right, let's get one of these on here. Ooh, how about one that has some zeros in it so you can see what would happen with that? In fact, I'll put a 0 in both the multiplicand and the multiplier, and I'll make them both really big. 25,960 times 409. So this is going to be a pretty big lattice. On graph paper, you would have an easy time organizing this. On the whiteboard, I've got to be careful. All right, I've got my beautiful lattice set up. It almost grew like a tomato plant or something, right? But instead, let's grow a multiplication product with this. Now all we have to do is add these up. Now when you get to the end here, you can either follow these all the way down to here, or your other option is to write them up the side. However, that could get confusing having all these numbers in a ring like that. So I generally, if I have the space, like to pretend that this grid goes all the way down and write those answers lined up like this. And there is our answer right there, 10,617,640. I'm going to copy it and try to fit it in right over here as well. So check out this lattice multiplication technique, and if it works for you, fantastic. There's so many ways to get to the same place, and maybe this is yours. Later, friends.